Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman. How are you doing? Nice to see you, Earthlings of Earth. Today, I thought I would answer the incredibly popular question of how do I write riffs or songs? I have lots of different answers to this question, and I think it's quite a cool one because I think what I'd like to do is ask you all how you do it, because I think everyone has a slightly different approach or method. So I'm interested in your approaches, so please feel free to comment in the comment section below. How do you write riffs or songs? How do you do it? So we'll start with, you've got to know what you're dealing with before you can do a thing. So for example, if you ask a builder, well, how does he build a house? Well, he would say, what kind of house? Because there are different kinds of house. And then he would say, well, what am I making it from? Because there are different kinds of materials. So you need to know about the materials and you need to know about the design. So it's important to understand the genre you think you'd like to be in or that you creatively aspire to. And it's important to understand the kinds of sounds at your disposal that you can use, whether it be clean, arpeggiated guitar chords or fuzzed up bass riffs. You need to understand these different kinds of textures and how they are historically used successfully, and really what you like. You need a palette in your mind, a creative palette of things that you can do that you like the sound of. And you really build that up by listening to lots and lots of music. In fact, when I asked Guthrie Govan, how do you write, or what do you see when you're playing, he just went, music. Which was the most honest answer ever. He just listens to loads and loads of music and it's in his mind all the time. So you've got to know what you're after. You need a little image in your mind of what you're trying to accomplish. Otherwise, you're just blindly flailing around until you think you might like the sound of something. So I will then stop myself and say that there are kind of two paths. Because the first path is you wake up and you go, man, I feel really inspired. Inspiration has struck. I'm going to run downstairs, make a coffee, feed the dog, and then get in the studio and I'm going to write a riff, you know, and you might get something like... You might be noodling through some lead guitar and kind of working on something simple like a pentatonic pattern. And experimenting with the techniques, say hybrid picking. And you might come across a lick that you like. And then you might think, well actually, what if I applied this to my rhythm playing and my riff writing rather than having it as a lead lick? So here's a lead lick. But here it is as a riff. Just applying the same concept but in a rhythmical way, and suddenly I've got kind of a cool riff that that's modulating, changing chords, that I can sing over. I get a melody over it because there's chordal change, it's causing tensions. So sometimes you can look to your lead noodlings and find elements that could become a riff or could become a song, part of a song structure. So there are two paths. One is you're inspired and you just get creative and something just comes out. That's the best way. It's the best way ever. And if you can work out what it is that puts you in that inspirational mood, then you're winning, double winning. But not everybody is lucky enough to always be inspired. I'm not always inspired. Although I know if I want to be inspired, the best thing is to have a coffee, listen to some Joe Satriani or something by Malmsteen, something that I'm like, oh, it's so amazing, have a great breakfast, put myself in a really great place, and then just go in the studio and start playing, and I'll generally feel inspired. The other way is to force creativity to occur by limiting yourself. And I talk about this quite a lot, or I did when I used to teach privately. I would say limitations always force creativity. So for example, we've got a 6-string guitar here. This is an ML1 from Chapman guitars. And I distinctly remember a time when I had absolutely no inspiration, but I was desperate to write a song for a particular thing that had happened, and I really wanted to remember it with a song. A friend of mine had passed away, and I was down about it, and I wanted to write a tune that I'd really remember him with. And I was really annoyed because I didn't have that inspiration at the moment. And I remember thinking, it's kind of ironic because normally it's the darkness and the sadness and the anger that you catharsize out as you write. But at that time, it wasn't coming out. So I needed to find another way. And what I did is I took off a bunch of the strings and I tuned a guitar completely randomly. Actually, it was an acoustic guitar. And because I had this instrument in front of me that was tuned utterly randomly, but in tune to something, with only, I think it was 4 strings, when I tried to play it, I approached it void of any previous knowledge of shapes, which is a huge deal to a shredder who lived through the 80s. And I came up with a tune called Idle Hands, which was, I love the tune. It's going to be on an album coming up soon with Dorje. It's an acoustic tune. And I would never have come up with some of the little progressions and finger-picked parts if I hadn't have thrown myself way out of my comfort zone and given myself something tuned completely differently. And lots of musicians will do this. They'll throw aside their number one instrument and use something different, like a saxophone or a piano or just singing. And in fact, when I write my lead solos, more often than not, I will sing a melody over it. I'll improvise a vocal melody, and then I'll go back and listen to something and think if I liked it, and then I'll work it out on the guitar. Because in your voice, there are no shapes, there are frets, kind of, but there's only one string, and singing is really hard, so note choice is really important, really key. Whereas with the guitar, it's very easy to play lots of notes at the same time, which is a problem if you're dexterous. So to overcome that, occasionally I would just sing, and I think actually that's the purest way of getting a melody out, is just to sing it or hum it, even if you don't think you can sing. Everybody can sing, really, in some way or another. So, limitations, they force you to find a creative solution, and I've used it all the time for things. Something else that you can do is alter your starting point. So, for example, if you really want to write a song, try this. Do a Google image search for something that you feel represents what the song would be about. So it could be boobs, if you're Kanye West, or it could be a volcano, or it could be a bleak desert landscape, or it could be Amazonian forest. And find an image that you really like, that really represents the feeling of the song, and stare at it and listen to it. It'll give you sounds, it'll give you melody, it'll have something in it. And then put yourself in that place and describe it from the inside out in your music. I do this with every song I write except for Idle Hands. Just kind of put yourself in a place and describe it. Very important. It's what a lot of bands I listen to also do, I found, which is kind of exciting. Try that, it might help. Anyway, even if it didn't, I hope you enjoyed this video. My name was Rob Chapman. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, For more videos like this, I bid ye farewell.